The Forgotten Promise that brought two stars together again. A K-drama story inspired by Lee Min-ho and song Hye Kyo. Stay until the very end because this fictional story is filled with breathtaking surprises, emotional reunions, unforgettable moments, and a final revelation that will leave you counting the days until the next chapter. If you love cinematic K-drama stories filled with hope, mystery, and unforgettable adventures, subscribe to KDramaHavenn because every story begins with imagination and every ending opens the door to another remarkable journey. The morning sun gently illuminated one of the oldest movie studios in Asia. Dust floated through beams of golden light as workers carefully prepared the building for a complete restoration. For decades, the studio had been home to unforgettable fictional dramas, timeless romances, and inspiring adventures. Every hallway carried memories. Every soundstage held stories waiting to be remembered. As the restoration continued, one young archivist discovered a small wooden box hidden behind an old bookshelf inside the original writer's room. The box had not been opened for many years. Its surface was covered with dust. A tiny brass lock protected whatever rested inside. The archivist carefully unlocked it. Inside lay a faded notebook tied with a silver ribbon. There was also an envelope with elegant handwriting across the front. Open only when the time feels right. Curious, the archivist carried the discovery to the studio director. The director slowly unfolded the letter. His eyes widened with surprise. Years earlier, a group of writers had imagined a fictional movie about two storytellers who promised to one day complete a journey they had never finished. The project had quietly disappeared before production ever began. Only the promise remained. The director believed the forgotten screenplay deserved another chance. He contacted the original writing team. Some had retired. Others had become celebrated filmmakers. Together they gathered once again around the same wooden table where the story had first been imagined. The room filled with excitement. As the pages were read aloud, everyone realized the fictional adventure still carried remarkable emotion. The story followed two artists whose lives crossed paths because of a promise made long ago beneath the stars. The director searched for performers capable of bringing those characters to life. He invited Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo to read the screenplay. Neither knew the remarkable history behind the forgotten project. When they entered the restored writer's room, the atmosphere felt almost magical. The old wooden table remained exactly where it had stood years earlier. The faded notebook rested at its center. The first script reading began. Every page carried warmth. Every conversation revealed another layer of hope, courage, and perseverance. The writers quietly smiled. The forgotten story had finally found its moment. Weeks later, filming officially began. Beautiful mountain villages became the backdrop for heartfelt conversations. Ancient libraries revealed hidden clues. Peaceful lakes reflected breathtaking sunsets. Historic train stations echoed with unforgettable farewells. Every location felt like another page from a timeless story. As the fictional characters searched for the forgotten promise, they discovered letters left behind by dreamers who believed every unfinished story deserved another ending. Each letter inspired another emotional chapter. Each discovery brought them closer to understanding why the promise had waited so many years. Months later, the fictional movie premiered before audiences from around the world. The theater became completely silent as the final scenes unfolded. The forgotten notebook was placed back inside the restored writer's room. The promise had finally been fulfilled. The audience rose together for a standing ovation. The applause echoed throughout the magnificent theater. The director stepped onto the stage holding the original notebook. He smiled before speaking. Some promises are not forgotten because they lose their meaning. Sometimes they quietly wait until the right people arrive to complete them. The audience applauded louder than ever. As the lights slowly faded, one final image appeared across the giant screen. A second wooden box rested beneath an old staircase inside the same studio. No one had noticed it before. Across the lid appeared 4 handwritten words. One more secret remains. The curtain slowly closed. The music faded into silence. Somewhere inside the restored studio, another extraordinary fictional journey had already begun, waiting for its first page to be discovered. The applause inside the magnificent theater continued long after the final scene disappeared from the giant screen. Nobody wanted to leave. Every person remained seated, hoping another surprise was waiting beyond the curtain. The director slowly returned to the stage, carrying the old wooden box that had become the heart of the fictional story. The audience immediately became silent. He carefully placed the box on a small table beneath a single golden spotlight. For several moments, he simply looked at it without speaking. Then he smiled. He explained that the box shown in the fictional movie had been recreated from an old design discovered inside the studio archives. The audience applauded warmly. Behind him, the giant screen slowly came to life. Never-before-seen rehearsal footage filled the screen. The first images showed writers gathered around the restored wooden table discussing every chapter of the screenplay. Another scene revealed artists painting magnificent backdrops by hand. Camera operators practiced complex movements until every frame looked like a moving painting. The audience watched with admiration. The fictional journey had required extraordinary dedication from every member of the production. Later, the screen revealed breathtaking moments from filming. The cast stood beside a peaceful mountain lake while the early morning mist drifted across the water. Ancient stone bridges connected beautiful gardens filled with colorful flowers. Historic libraries stretched endlessly with towering shelves filled with forgotten books. Every location seemed to hold another secret waiting to be discovered. As the presentation continued, the director invited Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo onto the stage. They thanked every writer, editor, costume designer, lighting artist, composer, and production assistant who had helped transform imagination into an unforgettable fictional adventure. The audience rose once again for another standing ovation. A young filmmaker then asked the director what inspired the forgotten promise at the center of the story. The director quietly reflected before answering. He explained that every storyteller leaves behind dreams waiting for someone else to continue. Sometimes a promise is not about returning to the past. Sometimes it is about giving the future another chance to shine. The audience became completely silent. His words echoed throughout the theater. As the celebration continued, the restoration team arrived carrying another discovery from the old studio. It was a beautifully carved wooden drawer hidden beneath the original writer's table. No one had noticed it during the restoration. The director slowly opened it. Inside rested dozens of handwritten postcards. Each contained a fictional message from aspiring writers who had once visited the studio hoping to create stories that would inspire people around the world. Some dreamed of directing unforgettable movies. Others hoped to become composers, actors, or screenwriters. Every message carried hope. Every page reflected courage. The audience smiled as selected postcards appeared on the giant screen. Many people quietly reflected on their own dreams. The festival host announced a remarkable surprise. Inspired by the fictional postcards, the studio would create an annual storytelling scholarship encouraging young filmmakers to complete the stories they had always dreamed of telling. Thunderous applause filled the theater. The celebration became even more meaningful. As the evening reached its conclusion, the lights slowly dimmed once again. The director carefully returned every postcard to the hidden drawer. Then, he gently closed the wooden box. Just before leaving the stage, he noticed another small envelope resting beneath it. No one knew how it had appeared. Across the front were only 4 handwritten words. The final chapter waits. The audience leaned forward with excitement. The director smiled quietly, but chose not to open it. Some stories deserved another beginning before revealing their ending. The curtain slowly closed. Soft music echoed through the magnificent hall. Outside the theater, the first rays of sunrise painted the sky with brilliant shades of gold. Far inside the restored studio, another unopened notebook rested upon an old writing desk. Its first page remained blank. Its remarkable journey had only just begun. To be continued.